Hello, beautiful people in Thug Life. Welcome into our Ladies of London New Reign review. We're going to be going over season 4, episode 8. This episode was titled Bad Manors. Yes, that's how they spelled it. This is not my spelling. Just letting everybody know that. But welcome into everybody who is here. Shout out to all of our new subscribers. At the time that I am recording this video, I am 1 subscriber away from 800. I appreciate y'all. Welcome in Thug Life, and don't be scared to comment. I don't bite, and you don't have to agree with me. It's totally fine. That's what makes conversation interesting. I encourage everybody who's watching this video to like and subscribe if you enjoy what we're doing. It is an easy way to assist the channel. You are greatly and sincerely appreciated. Also, before we fully get into the review, please check out the Black Creator Spotlight that is in the description of all of my videos. There are several links to other great Black creators doing a variety of content from everywhere from panels to horror movie reviews and more. And my cat, if you hear a meow, you are not tripping. My cat just howled at my laptop. I'm not quite sure why. I have a tabby. They are very, very vocal cat species. Look at it. But let's get into this episode. We're going to start with the group going to Longleat. Now, Longleat, it sounds like it's a safari park. I learned a lot. I did not know it was one of the first safari parks to be open to the public. I was not aware, like outside of the safari, I guess. I was not aware. I guess it's the standard. I know since Tiger King, there have been a difference in observation and opinion as it relates to these parks, but this one looks like the animals are well maintained, well cared for. I didn't see a bunch of animals stuffed into like a small space or anything crazy like that. It does look like Emma's done an incredible job with Longleat, and that's a great way for her to represent her title that she has over there in the UK. It's also a great way to represent the country, because now I kind of want to visit Longleat, because anything with animals I love. I'm supposed to be a veterinarian. How I ended up in the field I'm in now, I don't know. But anything with animals, I love. So I was happy to see that. But when they get, so the group takes rides to Longleat. Everything is okay in their cars. But as soon as Emma greets the group when they arrive at the home, you know, Mark, of course, is excited to see her because that's his best friend. He's the godfather to her kids. Like, they have a much closer relationship than some in the group. And so he's comfortable. That's me and James when we see each other. I didn't see the problem with jumping and hugging your friend or any of that. Like, what's wrong with that? Nothing's wrong with that. But this annoyed Margot. Margot's like, we know, we get it. You're best friends with Emma. And it's like, Mark is never really saying that. He's not like throwing it in people's faces like, this is my bestie and I'm the godfather of her children and I remember this and that. Like, he speaks on a relationship for the most part when asked, but this is what a best friend relationship should be. When you see each other, you excited, you goofy, you laugh, you might talk crap if you know, are in different areas, whatever it is, but it should be a light, fun relationship. If I want something heavy, I'll go talk to my husband. Like, it should be light and fun in your friendship. So I didn't see why Margot was hating. It's given Margot's jealous because she's not as into those circles as she would like to be, but I feel like Margot would never admit that. But we see the group take a boat ride through Longleat. We saw them feeding sea lions and otters. They've got a koala sanctuary, truly a beautiful space. Emma is lucky to live where she lives, and I love that she speaks about the work that she does, cares about the animals. She really just does give someone with the title, and I love that for her. But we're gonna move into Lottie. Lottie and Margot are discussing Mark Francis, and Margot feels like Mark Francis is fake, as she's been saying. And Lottie's trying to explain to Margot, like, you know, well, what is he doing that's fake? Because from Mark's side of things, he says that the situation with you is not so deep because he don't know you like that. And I do kind of get that. Like, Mark is saying stuff and throwing shade. Maybe if they were in high school or junior high or even college, then that shade could be like a bigger deal. But as adults on a show, why are you tripping? Like, you're on a Bravo show at that. Margot, you're an American too, so I know you've watched some Bravo. You should understand that this man is throwing shade. And instead of crying and whining about it, throw some shade right back at Mark Francis. There's a lot that you could say about him too. And I bet you would call it even, but Margot seems to be like hell-bent on just throwing a fit and being a victim at the same time. And Lottie, she feels like Lottie is switching sides because Lottie was explaining like Mark's perspective to her. And I kind of felt like Lottie was on the right side. I don't feel like Lottie's on either side. Lottie's been the most ethical and fair, I think, of everybody on the cast. But Lottie also pointed out something that I think was very important, which is you're mad at someone for nicely saying hello to you because you think they don't like you for real. Well, what do you expect him to say to you? Hi, bitch. Like, what do you expect him to do? Like, that's a strange thing to complain about. So, Margot, please keep your American white privilege. Don't do that. Don't do that right now. Because I feel like that's what it is. Or she's insecure and wants to fit in with this group and they are not accepting her. I don't know what it is. You know, let me know in the comments what y'all think it is, because I'm just as confused as everybody else. But even Micah at the table, who doesn't like to be involved in any type of drama, which makes me wonder why she's on the show. Even though we love Micah, she's sweet. But Micah's sitting there quietly while they're talking about this. And Micah said in her confessional, she feels like Margot may not understand the British sense of humor. And what does Margot do? Because everything with her is a who's got a bigger private part that she's swinging around. Margot responds and is pretty much like, well, of course I understand British humor. I became an adult out here. And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, if you became an adult out here, girl, you would be speaking the way that Kimmy is speaking. You are hella, no. I don't think Margot understands British humor to an extent. I do think she kind of gets it, but I feel like the bigger problem is probably she's just, for whatever reason, highly triggered and reactive when it comes to Mark Francis. Like, she pays attention to him. She looks and listens for him to say something. Like, she's waiting for a moment. But Lottie, after talking to Margot about the drama with Mark Francis, said what we were all thinking. And this is why I love Lottie. I just love her down to her name. But she says, obviously, Margot must like chaos, because how is it that you are complaining about all of these things about Mark Francis, but then when people are giving you suggestions on how to make peace, like Lottie said, well, Margot, if you feel this way, just go talk to him and explain it like you're doing it to us. And Margot says talking to him won't change anything because people don't change that fast. Girl, then shut the hell up. Why are you complaining if you have no intention of doing anything to resolve the issue that you're having to complain about? Be quiet and sip your tea. I don't get why that was so hard for Margot. I just don't. But let me know how you guys felt about it, because Margot just make my teeth itch. I want to like her though, and I like her for giving the show like flair. I also really appreciate Margot for coming on the show and reminding us that you can be a reality TV villain without taking it, as Kiwan JTV would say, to the basement of hell. You absolutely can. And I appreciate them for doing this instead of them, you know, doing the most and making it like not so fun to watch, if that makes sense. But let's move it along, beautiful people. Margot ends up crying about feeling alone, and I'm just like, girl, bye. We ain't got time for these tears. Now, at the event for the group, they all end up doing like an actual British tea party at Longleat on this wonderful property with all the right things, the tea, the crumpets, the finger sandwiches. It was etiquette at its best moment. And I guess they're waiting because there are other people in addition to the cast that we're seeing who are going to be joining the dinner, because we have to remember that Longleat is a public place. And at this public place, while waiting on the food and the tea to come out, Margot sees the trays they have set up of the finger sandwiches and all of this. This heifer, this is why people don't like Americans. Everybody else is waiting on the event and waiting for the tea to be served because it's customary. Margot goes over and she says she's feeling peckish and she was hungry. I'm not mad at you for being hungry. You're at an event though. Take a sandwich off with like a napkin. Hell, just take it without a napkin and nibble on one until hold you over. This bitch took the entire tray, the decorative tray of sandwiches, charcuterie, cheese, crumpets, all of it, scones, and brought it to her. That's not even the table they were eating at. and just start eating off of it. And everybody was so embarrassed. Micah was like, you know, Micah's the etiquette expert. And, you know, Micah in her head was like, this bitch is just ghetto. You could tell Micah just was reading her for filth in her head because she's too polite that she would never do it, you know, out loud. But everybody has something to say. Emma was just like, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. When people have to say it's fine that many times, it is in fact not fine. So I thought it was the funniest thing, but I was, you know, I was here for it. Those little moments give us something to giggle at. But the group ends up sitting at the table. They all have this truly British event. If you're going to be on a show called Ladies of London, I want to see them do British activities. I do. And to see them doing that tea and crumpets and stuff, it was perfect. Margot almost messed up the moment, but it's okay. Margot will be Margot. You know, those damn Americans, right? What can we do? But at the table, everything went okay for the lunch. Like they sat and ate without an issue. And you would think that the tea would have got to their bellies and warmed them. But after the lunch, Lottie goes and she's talking to Missy about Margot and the issue that Margot is having with Mark. And I hollered because Mark Francis was near and they ended up going near him. And Mark was like, oh, you wonder why I don't like this woman as she has her VPL present. I said, what the hell is a VPL? I know what a BBL is, but I don't know what a VPL is. I know what a VPN is, but I don't know what VPL is. And they said it's a visible panty line. I did not know. Now, I understand if you're in like a pair of leggings or wearing something white, you know, like how I was taught, there's certain things you want to do with the panty line. There are certain outfits that you want to put a slip under if you can, or if you can't, you want to wear a thong. Or if you are bold enough, go pantyless. It's good for your coochie, keeps you from getting yeast. So, you know, do what you do. I didn't feel like Margot's panty line was a big deal. There have been some questionable outfits that Margot has worn, but I haven't felt like anything was so big of a deal to that extent. I personally didn't notice it, and it looked like she might have had like a leotard under the outfit because it was a sheer, you know, outfit. But Mark Francis commented on it. I thought it was the funniest thing. And Missy says that Mark's issue with Margot is personal. And the reason she believes the issue is personal is because while Mark Francis is joking about Margot's clothing and how he's had an issue with her clothing, looking like she's showing up wearing pigeons. Now he don't like that he can see the panty line. And Lottie did agree with Mark to a certain extent because Margot wore a shirt with like nipple tassels and was like twisting them around and stuff at people. So I can understand why Mark thinks she's doing stuff for attention, which gives thirst, which can turn a lot of people off. Trying too hard, just be yourself. But the VPL line, I'm sorry, that was funny. It looked like it was a leotard part of the outfit, but it was funny. And I do appreciate Missy for pointing out something that is extremely important, and that it is that Mark probably just does not like this girl for his own personal reasons, because Missy noticed that the outfits that Margot's wearing, some of the outfits that Margot has worn that Mark complained about, Missy's worn. Like they showed that scene where she had the sheer dress where you could like literally see through it. She didn't have a bra. It was just nipples and her Swedish mole. Like, and she's like, nobody said anything to me about that, but y'all say something to Margot. Missy did have a point. I'd also like to point out Missy is beautiful and Margot does wear stuff sometimes that's extra, but I think Margot be looking good. I don't think that she'd be looking like a damn fool. If anything, Missy be looking like, girl, cover up, you know? But it is what it is. And that was a really good point for Missy to bring up because it proves that Mark does have like a personal thing with her. However, Missy, you took your sweetest ass across that grass and went over and immediately run and told the table that Margot was at, and Martha was trying to talk to Margot, that the other ladies were speaking about her outfits and things. And she tells what Mark said about her and explained how she was like, well, damn, I wear the same thing. Do y'all feel this way about me? And of course, you know, it upsets Margot because you're adding to her narrative and she's getting amped up. And in my brain, I just don't understand why Missy had to go and run and tell. Like, why are you running to tell as soon as it happens? That's annoying. That's annoying. Like, they already have their problem. You running and telling something while you're in Longleat, you're literally turning the stove up so that the water can boil. And we don't want it to boil. So I don't understand why Missy did what she did. I felt like that was messy. But then again, Margot ran to Missy and told her about that comment that Kimmy made about her brother. So maybe this is just how Missy and Margot move. But Emma ends up coming over to the table because, you know, she sees that things are getting heightened. And Emma tells Margot, she's like, well, instead of talking to a bunch of people about it, why don't you go to the source? Your problem is you're not going straight to the source. You're talking to all of these people but Mark. And then when you do talk to Mark, Margot be hella condescending and passive aggressive while also being very aggressive. So it's one of those things where it's like people are damned if they do and damned if they don't with Margot. And I'm glad that the group is kind of coming and telling her, like, just speak how you feel and move on. Because I think everybody as a whole is probably sick of hearing Margot's voice about this Mark Francis thing. And Mark Francis keeps telling everybody, like, he don't want to talk about it. He don't want to talk about her. He doesn't want to give it energy. And the group keeps trying to force him to do stuff. There are some people that I don't like, that my best friend, one of them who I'm on YouTube with often, James, that he don't like, and vice versa. We just don't talk about the people to each other. And if he around them, he know not to call me. It's that simple. It's that simple. I get that you're on a show, but Margot, now we 7 episodes into you talking about Mark. Like, get off his dick, sis. I have to say it. Get off of his man part. Let it go. Call your husband, call your stepkid, fire the nanny so you can have more to do, because this is getting out of hand. Who cares? And I think Margot wanted to keep that beef with Kimmy going, but I don't think she expected Kimmy and Missy to make peace. I really don't. Like, I feel like Margot's just trying to give us a show, and I'm gonna keep saying that, y'all, episode after episode, because I'm not mad at her for doing it. I'm not mad. Somebody got to give us a show, because if we were to remove Margot and snatch her out of this season, what would we have? You know, so she's given a show, and I'll give her that. Now, Margot tries to make it seem like Mark Francis is the one keeping the beef up, and as if she's trying to squash it. And I'm like, Margot, you're not squashing the beef. You're keeping the beef going. And she ends up, you know, this episode, it was a mess. She's not squashing the issue. She keeps talking about it. It keeps going. And Mark just be chilling. Mark Francis lives rent-free in Margot's head, because Mark talks about her when she's around, but if she's not around, and he doesn't seem to say much, he kind of just lives his life. Now, the group ends up going to try and get Mark to go and talk to Martha, or not Martha. They try to get Mark Francis to go and talk to Margot. And, you know, Mark made it very clear that he did not want to speak to her. And this is where Margot goes, you know, I can hear you. If you hear someone, since you say that you know this man can hear you, then that means that you have heard him say he doesn't want to talk to you. So you saying, you know, I can hear you, while trying to talk to him, you weren't going to get anywhere. He didn't want to deal with you. He doesn't care if you hear you. He doesn't care. He's not impacted by you the way you are by him, Margot. He's just not. And Margot's, she starts yelling stuff to Mark from across the way. And she's like, I don't even understand your problem with me, why you don't like me. And just, you know, kind of having her little, I'll call it a BF, as we called it in Mean Girls, a bitch fit, having a moment. And Mark is just looking at her, and he points out something that I felt was important and also proved that Margot just be on bullshit sometimes. He was like, Margot, we were sitting inside and you were right next to me and said nothing. The moment we got out here, you decided to start talking about me. And now you're mad because I'm saying something about you, kind of. He's like, you had opportunity, you had space and opportunity to say something, you didn't say nothing. Now you want to say something and holler at me and you mad I won't talk to you? I was just next to you talking to you. So I do get Mark from that perspective, but I also feel like Mark needs to be realistic. Like, you know, you throwing shade at that girl. Just admit it. Just admit it. Just admit that that girl gets on your nerves and you throwing shade at her because she's trying to make a problem with you for no reason. Now, I'm a Gemini. When people like to make a problem with us for no reason, we give them multiple problems. Do that. Do that. Start Geminiing, Mark. I know you're not a Gemini, but find one and get some training and start Geminiing, because I wouldn't have walked away. Now, I did agree with Mark. I do feel also like Margot's played the victim, as I've stated, but Mark ends up walking off from her, which I think is the best thing to do, because he's kind of damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. He can throw fun shade. He can say stuff like that, but he can really only say so much with her, because at the end of the day, he's the only man on this cast. And if he were to be telling Margot, like, you need to stop, and if he were to get in a heated exchange with her, I do feel like the audience or somebody on this cast would make it into a we don't like men disrespecting women type of thing, which I can understand. So I do feel like the best thing for Mark to done in that situation was to have walked away. Now, after he walks off, because, you know, his little villa is 2.5 miles away, so he's going to be a good distance from these heifers. Kimmy gets mad, and she says to Margot, he walked off because you're screaming at him rudely from across the table, and you just won't accept he doesn't want to talk. Because Kimmy's accent, I don't know what it is, but we have to remember she's from America. But okay, Kimmy. And Kimmy gets mad and she's sick of it. And Margot's like, huh? Yeah, Kimmy. All I heard Kimmy say is, you're a raging bitch. You're just a bitch. I said, not a raging bitch. Oh, Lord. And Kimmy walked off. I said, I love when British people curse. I love it so much. I love it. Everything just sounds better. Everything just sounds better. I just love it. I love it. But the episode pretty much ended with Kimmy and Mark walking off. Let me tell you this. I want a friendship like Kimmy got with Mark, got with Emma, because they stick beside each other. Because when they was talking about Emma's friend, now she's the, what is it, the Marchianas or something of the land, or whatever they call it, however they do things over there. But she still went over there. That was Emma's polite way of, I hear you talking about my friend. Why don't you just go talk to him? Like, they stick beside each other, and I'm here for it. I love the loyalty. I just do. But I'm curious to see what happened next week. I am not sure how many episodes are in a season. I don't know where James be getting that information from. Honestly, I really don't, because, you know, but based on what I see, I'm going to keep covering it until they announce the finale. I don't know if they're going to go past 10. I don't know if there's going to be a reunion, but I feel like the season's about to heat up in a good way. We're going to be entertained. But that is it for this episode, y'all. I do hope that y'all consider letting me know how you feel about this episode. Feel free to leave a comment. Even when we are not live, we still be in the comments, beautiful people. So feel free to leave a comment. Also, feel free to suggest the show if interested. Contact information is always on the channel and in the description of all of the videos. Other than that, I thank everybody for watching, and I will see you on the next review of Ladies of London. Au revoir.